Are websites dead, or is that just a clickbait statement? Oh, wait a minute. Did I just do the same thing? Well, regardless, I am very excited to sit down with my next guest to ask this very question. Ahava Leaptag is the CEO of AHA Media Group, and she is refreshingly blunt when discussing marketing strategy. We're going to talk about how websites are still relevant in healthcare, why trust is the new metric of success and not page visits or impressions, and why more creativity is needed in healthcare. Let's get to it.
Sway Health.
Ahava, welcome back to the program.
I'm so happy to be here, Colin. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to speak with you. I always enjoy our interactions. I always come away with like 20 to-dos and things that are making me think different. So I'm excited for today's conversation.
Awesome. I'm excited too.
Well, and the reason for this one is, you have recently released a trends report that I found very interesting. It's titled, and we'll put a link to this in down below, but it's the Healthcare Marketing in 2026 Key Trends and Takeaways Reports.
And we have 6 of them.
Yes, you have 6 trends. You have 6 trends. And what I loved about the report is that it's really bite-sized. Like it's not a very lengthy report. It's very bite-sized, lots of quotes and some really good takeaways for people from the report.
Yeah, thank you.
I loved the quotes that you're getting from different luminaries in the space, yours included, and those are really helpful to ground a lot of these trends, which can be a little bit, I'll call it mushy, right? When if they're just
Yes.
written out there. But I loved how you got some really examples in here. So,
Thank
well,
you.
let's start. I I gotta call out this line. The opening line in trend number one really caught my eye, right? And that is trend number one, just for those people, is the website is the hub of trust. But the opening line says, Doomsayers will keep trying to convince you that healthcare websites are dead, and it's important you don't listen to them. Can you expand on that for me?
I can. So I think some of the thought leaders in the space are using that line to get attention. And I don't particularly find that kind of language useful. I would prefer for people to say websites are evolving and you need to pay attention. But websites are always evolving. So I don't particularly think that this is news to us. What I think is different is that the top of the funnel has shrunk tremendously for healthcare marketers. Healthcare marketers saw themselves as publishers on a certain level. It's our responsibility to create patient education. Conditions and treatments are topics that bring people in through the search funnel. And now with AI overview search, you are not going to have many people clicking to your pages because they can get that education right on, the answer page of Google, or they can go to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will give you the sources now, luckily, but they won't necessarily click back to those pages because they feel like they've gotten what they need. So from that perspective, I think websites are evolving. I think the other part of websites that are really evolving is that we need to make sure schema and markup is correct, because that's how you're going to be found in search. And the other thing is that we have to think about content as a data layer. And so it's incredibly important. Content is even more important on some level than it even was, before AI search. But thinking about it in that perspective, that there are different layers of your website and all of them are important towards capturing your audience and getting them to convert. I think that's the evolution of the website. And that's, I think, more sophisticated thinking than saying websites are dead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I think websites, the use case for websites is definitely changing. And what used to be the use case for websites, I think, is going away very quickly, where it was the gateway to all your information, the gateway for people to find you, learn about you, and interact with you. Now, I think with the AI searching and all the new ways that we're doing things, your website is now just going to become something different, like more of the transaction stuff. Um,
Yeah. Well, I think yes and no, because
okay,
one of the things that healthcare is responsible for is trust.
sure.
And so, where are you going to create that trust? Chances are, with the changes in the social media platforms constantly, you're going to be able to create engagement and interest on those. but you also have to really give people the information that they need. Their health is really important to them. I mean, Google, your health, your money. So those are places where everyone knows that there's an incredible importance to people about those things. And if you're not making sure that when people are coming to transact, they can also find things to bite down hard on that show them that trust is there, you're not doing a good job. Now, the other thing that I'll say is that trust is not only built through stories and content and information about how, you'll have an experience, it's also in the way that the experience is online. Because if you can make an appointment easily and you get an email that shows that they're interested in you and you have a process that makes you feel like I'm going to walk through the door and get the same experience, then that's also another way to build trust. So the digital transformation piece is still incredibly important. And that can only happen with quote unquote a digital front door, which isn't a really, it's a term that we use that everybody understands very quickly. It's not maybe the most descriptive way that we're thinking about it now because of the changes that have come. But I think that you're still going to need to give people high quality content that speaks to their needs. Otherwise, they'll go down the block or they'll find a different place to, they'll fly across the country. And hospitals make their money through those quaternary and tertiary forms of care. And you're still going to need to tell people why they should come to you.
I love I love that you went there. But like, so, trust, such a big thing. We all want it. It's definitely become something that we're talking more about in the healthcare marketing world, which I think is great. What I'm hearing you say is that the website can contribute to that, and then there's other things like social, like your other things that can build trust. But specifically on the website, what are some specific examples of trust building things that you can put there?
Yeah. So the first thing that I always think about as a marketer is know your audience. So plotting out a patient journey, and I'm not talking about a complicated user experience thing. That's something you should be doing when you're redesigning your website, but just a simple, awareness, need, trigger actions, thinking that through. Anticipating the questions that patients have is incredibly important. So I recently had an experience with a family member where we had to stay in the hospital for 5 days, and I wanted to understand what amenities the rooms had. And there was none of that on the hospital website. That made me go into it with apprehension and anxiety and hear my loved ones having a major surgery and treatment. So it's simple, detailed things like that that really help to build trust. Telling stories about people where they come into the journey. We talk about this a lot in the report. Storytelling is not dead. It's actually more important than ever. That's where you're going to capture people's attention and their trust. And then I think the other part of that is really you have the stay creative sign. Creativity is so incredibly important. And there's so much Navy marketing going on in healthcare. We have to figure out a way to stop the scroll. Attention is a scarcity in this marketplace. I mean, how distracted are people? They're constantly being pinged at, slacked, emailed, social media, WhatsApp, texting. And how are you going to capture people's attention? Well, you're going to capture it by being creative. And once you stop the scroll for people, their interest increases and then their openness to trust increases. And getting them to a place that you can control, your only own true property is your website at this point or your blog, then that's going to be the place where you're going to have the most opportunity to convert them.
Again, I like where you're leading me. I mean, that leads me to my next question around trend number two, which included, yeah, a quote from you in there. And there you're basically saying that creativity needs to come back in healthcare marketing in 2026. Sign me up because
Right.
I want more creativity. I'm tired of the vanilla. But
Yeah.
why are you saying that we need more of it in healthcare? Because healthcare has traditionally been very risk averse. We've tended towards the vanilla and the navy. Why are you saying that we now need to be more creative? Is it just the attention deficit that we all have now?
Well, partly it's the attention deficit. Partly it's also the fact that everywhere else in the marketplace has gotten more creative in order to stop the scroll. So you're really looking behind and old. So, like, why would I want to go to a doctor or a hospital institution that is afraid to speak to me in my language? The University of Chicago Medicine did this amazing award winning 15-second video about women and pelvic floor dysfunction and like peeing, basically. to get into
Mhm.
it. And I absolutely loved it because it showed exactly like all the marketing principles you think about. This is an audience of women who can't find care. It's a little bit embarrassing. So talking about it straight on helps them feel that sense of they see me. They see me and they're giving me hope that I can find some sort of treatment or some sort of help in this area. So those are the kind of things that really focus people on that sort of funnel into trust. It's like, oh, they're speaking to me my language. I'm probably in my 40s or 50s. I probably have Gen Z kids who are using words like riz and vibes and and that makes me feel like it might be like a little bit embarrassing, but it also brings like a smile to my face. We do for years now, we've done a compilation of the top 10 hospital commercials. And we probably look at 25 to 30 commercials to get even like 10. And which maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but not all hospitals produce commercials every year. And every year I'm looking at the same dumb robotic surgery, the same, doctors walking in their scrubs. And I would really recommend that people, and we can put the link to it also in the comments, people watching this video, go watch those creative commercials that speak to people's lives and they speak to the reality of what they're going through. And they get them to sort of say, oh, this is an institution that thinks about me as a person rather than a body that needs to be treated. And nobody cares about robotic surgery unless they need a robot. You know what I mean? Like telling me you have world-class advanced technology at your hospital, you better. You know?
It's table stakes, right? Like you expect that
Yeah,
nowadays.
that doesn't interest people anymore. I don't. I think it goes right over people's heads. I think it's a branding play, and I get that. And maybe the robotic surgeons run the hospital, so you got to do it for them, and I get that also. But at the end of the day, the other reason I think creativity has to come back is because there's so much AI slop. It's just like, how many times a day do you read a piece of content and you're like, a human being did not write this, or a human being edited it, but I can tell it was drafted by AI, and it's not just the M dashes or the bolded words. So that's another reason why we have to get back, I think, to what we drew us to communications and marketing in the first place, which was engaging with people. And that's where I think creativity comes in. And don't feel boxed in. The other important thing that I say in that quote is go to your executives and show them what other people are doing. Nothing gets executives more excited than competition. There's a reason they're at the top. And say to them, they're down the street, they're doing this and they're having big success. I want to keep up. I want to compete. And I think that will go a long way. The other thing to recognize is that executives are getting more in the generation that's used to this kind of media. And so they're, I think, more ready. Where you get into trouble is legal and compliance. They are afraid. But stop being afraid, because your fear is keeping you back from shining. And if you're going to get, the healthcare market pressures are insane. If you're going to get people through that door, you need to get their attention.
There were 6 trends in the report, Ahava. What would have been number 7 if you had added one more? What would the next one have been?
Okay, well, you'll have to wait till 2027. I think so. I don't know if this would have been a separate trend. I think this sort of encompasses all the trends, which is get out of the messy middle. It's
Mm.
like, make a decision. We're going to use AI for our workflow. We're going to figure out a way to push creativity. We're going to spend 10% of our budget on doing something we've never done before. We're going to put a stake in the sand and say, this is what we're trying to get to. We're going to build a 3-year plan or a 2-year plan, and we're going to put our money where our mouths are, and we're just going to get it done. And I think it's time for everybody to sort of, or within organizations where that permission is there, to say, we can't watch this anymore. We have to do something about it. We've got to get involved and figure it out. And whether that's a pilot, which I don't love a pilot always because it stops and then it never happens, but whether that's experimentation or trying new things or spending more time with your audience, I think that those are all things that really can push you out of that messy middle. And I think that that's the overall trend. But if you're asking me for a 7th, maybe that would have been my umbrella.
And is that the overall message you want people to take away from the report? Like after reading through these six strands, is there one action that you're hoping someone would take after reading this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say step forward with bravery. Fortune favors the bold. And there, most of the people that I know, that I would say almost every talented person I know in healthcare marketing is there because they're passionate about healthcare. And it's so easy to get so like beaten down by the everyday and the constant fires and the no opportunity to institute the strategy because everyone's pulling you in a different direction. And I would say, whether it's like reading like a 5 minute thing on creativity or watching a video from some famous creative person or reading a creative book or listening to, a book or watching a movie that inspires you, those are the things that are going to remind you of your passion. And reading patient stories and watching patient stories and talking to patients in your institutions or talking to doctors or nurse navigators about the last patient that they really helped, those can also make you feel like, wow, I work at this amazing institution and it's my job to bring those stories to the forefront. And so I would say that, tap back into your passion and step forward.
I love it. I love it. And I love how you're saying it's okay to do whatever it takes for you personally to get that inspiration, whether that's watching a movie or listening to a podcast or running around. Like it's not the same for everybody.
Yeah, no, it totally isn't. I mean, it reminds me of I was once on a panel of women leaders, and there were three women, and the moderator asked all of us, like, what did you do to become a better leader? And so one woman said, like, I got a mentor. And another woman said, I took leadership classes. And they came to me and I was like, I went to therapy. Working on yourself makes, and I got, it got the biggest laugh, but working on yourself makes you a better professional. And so whatever you need to do, you need to do. I'm watching all of Robert Redford's movies right now. He died. I thought like, oh, what? Let me go watch a couple of his movies. And then I got like really involved in like watching him as an actor. And it's really spurred my own creativity, just watching his career and the breadth of his career and the chances that he took, the risks that he made. And, you see the evolution of an actor over time when you watch their movies. And I think that like projects like that really help me. I'm reading all the Pulitzer Prize winning novels. There's 92 of them. It's taking me years because, how many can you read? But some of the greatest literature in the world is found in that list. And that really helps me tap back into like, being inspired by other people's art. And I think that that's, just take on something small and see it as an enjoyable thing that you want to do. And I think that that can really help you tap back into what is important to you about what it is that you do. But I think especially involving yourself in what makes your institution special will bring a certain pride to your work and a willingness to push forward.
Final question for you, Ahava. Where can people go to learn more about AHA Media Group and connect with you?
So ahamediagroup.com, I think, is the best place to come. We also have a pretty active channel on LinkedIn. My marketing director, Lacey, is incredible, and she's always giving people amazing content. I think watching Ahava and Friends is a really great way to get inspired. I bring on so many fantastic guests who really will tell you stories from the trenches about what's happening. And so that's another place to find us on LinkedIn. And we also have a pretty active YouTube channel, so you can look for us there. But I would say, as a center of trust, our website is the first place I would go.
You are living the proof that it is not dead. Well, Ahava, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day.
Thank you so much. And, if you are a person who is inspired and passionate about healthcare or just wants to talk about the latest successful project you have, please reach out to me because I am always looking for amazing guests on Ahava and Friends.
Awesome. We'll put a link to that in the notes for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I love Ahava's passion, and I loved how she made it abundantly clear that websites aren't going anywhere, but their use is evolving. Smart organizations are evolving with it, and I would highly encourage you to check out the AHA Media Group report that has a whole bunch of great information inside. Links below. And hey, if you made it this far in the video, we'd really appreciate it if you could mash that like button and click subscribe. Also, head over to Sway Health, that's Sway with 2 A's, .health, where you can find more great content like this. I'm Colin Hung. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.